All right, hey everybody. Welcome to this mini series where you're going to get actionable advice to grow your company in just 10 minutes. My name is Charles Gaudet. I'm the CEO of Predictable Profits. And with me is my main man, Zach Burks. Zach, speak up, let the world know that they can hear you.
Hey, I'm here.
So, today we're going to be talking about how to get more leads with LinkedIn. And specifically, what we're talking about today is with the right message. So our goal is that you're going to learn something new in the next 10 minutes, and we've got a lot to cover. So let's just get right into the meat of the presentation today. Now, there are plenty of gurus out there that talk a big game, but they don't actually do this stuff themselves. So just to let you know that we're for real. That's a snapshot of my account. I've got just over 27,000 followers. LinkedIn apparently thinks that I'm an all-star. And if you look at my ranking, I'm top 1% in the industry for LinkedIn. It's the SSI ranking. And yes, Zach Burks is actually beating me. Zach is beating me as far as a team on the SSI rank. So when we're talking about LinkedIn here, probably a damn good thing that we have Zach on the line. So Zach, why don't you explain what this is all about?
Yeah, here's a screenshot of how many appointments I booked for myself over the last month. And that's about 27 appointments if I'm looking at I'm just kind of, if I'm adding it up real quick. And it took me about an hour a day to do this. I just imagine, how much your business would change if you had an extra couple dozen appointments per month, right? Like this is something that can be done. We can teach you this. And of course, there are tools out there that allow you to scale quickly, which we'll get to in another webinar series.
So, Zach, why don't you tell me why we're talking about LinkedIn today?
Okay. So when you look at the top sales professionals today, 90% of them are using social selling tools like LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter. And that's coming from a LinkedIn source. Facebook seems to be all the rage right now in terms of ad buys. But when you actually track the appointments and sales that come from each medium, LinkedIn is extremely hot right now. And it's pulling in more leads than all of the others combined.
The thing is if you're not on LinkedIn, especially if you're in B2B, right? But if you're not on LinkedIn, you're missing a huge opportunity. Because when you really, really think about it, when people are on LinkedIn, they have the buyer's mentality and they're in work mode. When you're on LinkedIn, they're actively looking to network. They're actively looking to make a sale or to grow their business.
Yeah, and that's obviously not the case when people are on Facebook or Twitter, and you're sharing pictures of your dog. I post pictures of my dog Janie all the time. You're posting updates while you're on vacation, sharing jokes, arguing about political events, especially nowadays. When you're on Facebook or Twitter, you're not necessarily in the same frame of mind as you are when you're on LinkedIn.
So let's play a little game here for a second. In the chat box, right? Out of every B2B lead that comes from social media, take a guess at how many come from LinkedIn. Do you think it's 15%, 27%, 44%, 55%, or 80%? Just pick one. Throw it in the chat box. Of all the total leads that come in from social media, how many come from LinkedIn? Okay, you ready for the answer?
So this surprised me. Wow, Nate got it. So how many of you guessed 80%? If you did, you're right. I mean, LinkedIn is responsible for 80% of those leads, based on this study that was conducted across multiple platforms. This one is outpulling all of those in a very significant way.
So now to put it into another perspective, when you combine Twitter, Facebook, and Google+, all of those combined make up less than 20% of the total leads. So when you think about 4 out of every 5 leads coming from LinkedIn, that one stat alone should be enough to convince you to start investing your time on LinkedIn. But the problem is that most people don't know how to use LinkedIn correctly. And they're either spammy, and if you're spammy, that's going to hurt both your personal and your professional brand, or they get lost in the noise. And so today, what we're really going to do is we're going to show you how to stand out and create the right messages. Now, this is just an example of the type of messages that I get in my inbox every day, and I'm sure you get many of the similar messages, right? So, here's bad message number one. Here's bad message number two. And we're going to show you exactly why these messages, why they're bad and why you don't want to use it.
These are obviously really bad sales messages. And I think you point out something. I just want to, take a side note real quick, that I think the worst thing is not necessarily having something where someone is just like, oh, that's the worst message ever, and they respond and they tell you that. It's when you just kind of, nobody responds at all, right? Just like not even getting any response. And I think that's more common. So these ones are really bad, and you're like, I would never do that. But there's a lot of others that stand out. They're not that bad, but they stand out in a bad way. They're just kind of meh. They're just neutral, right? So they don't elicit any sort of emotion, and that's just as bad. So I mean, seriously, when you read a message like this, the one that's on the screen, would you take the time to respond? I know I wouldn't. I didn't. In fact, I received that one, and I'd be embarrassed if I caught any of my sales team members putting out messages like this, because you're going straight for the kill right away, and you just sound like everyone else.
And I think that's a good point, Zach, because if you're sending messages that look anything like this, first of all, I do want to say that it's really not your fault, because that's just the type of message that everybody thinks would work. You've got a lot of guru courses and whatnot that are teaching a lot of the same type of messaging, which is why we see the same thing over and over and over again. And you know what? Maybe, truth be told, maybe Zach and I would also be sending out messages like this if we didn't painstakingly test every single angle possible. And we're still testing every single angle. Zach and I were talking earlier this week, and we still put together new messages. And we're always testing to try to find a message that is going to beat our previous message. So here's what we found out. Number one, and again, we've tested hundreds of different messages, right? Write these things down. WIIFM. That stands for what's in it for me. Your message needs to immediately tell your prospect what's in it for them. Again, it cannot be about you. It has to be only about them. And the thing is, and it's kind of hard to swallow, but nobody cares about you. Your prospect does not care about what your product is, or what your company does, or what awards that you've won, etc. The only thing they care about is how you're going to help them.
Right. And number two, you must be relevant, right? If you're too generic, if you're not using the advanced search features inside of LinkedIn that allow you to create these powerful angles in your messages that shows and lets your prospect know you're speaking directly to them, you're going to get ignored or deleted. The mass, spam approach just simply does not work.
The pray and spray, the type of message that when you get it in your inbox and you realize that the exact same message could be sent to any number of millions of people, that's going to be a lot less effective than if you were very specific, niche down, being very specific and more relevant. And the third term, right? So WIIFM, what's in it for me? Then you want to be relevant. And then number three, this is so important. Just don't sound like a salesperson. And this is key because there's tons and tons and tons of noise out there, and it's only getting worse. The more people find out that LinkedIn is really becoming a massive lead engine in B2B, the more people are jumping in. And so I don't have to tell you how everybody sounds the same. Just check your inbox on LinkedIn. So, I mean, you've probably seen it all. And quite frankly, it's all a bunch of BS. It's a bunch of salespeople pretending not to be salespeople by taking all these like cutesy angles and whatnot. But you can read through it. All of us can. All of us have very sensitive BS detectors. So look, you got to be able to protect your name, and you have to protect your brand. And nothing is going to ruin a relationship more than someone who's spamming you and hitting you over the head with sales messages over and over and over again.
Yeah, I'm laughing because, well, that's a serious point, but that is got to be the worst salesperson looking image I've ever seen on that last slide. But getting to the next slide, I think I can't emphasize this point enough. This is, we've done a lot of messages, and you've just got to be cool, right? And deliver real value. That's why when you do this right, you'll have prospects reaching out to you and saying things like, your message is the first one I've ever responded to, or I've loved this, I've shared with my team, thank you. This one says, I'm digging this prospect, Zach, kudos, happy to chat next week. We've gotten, your message is different, that speaks volumes, let's talk. So if you can do it right and be very different, you're going to get the right responses.
So out of the hundreds of messages that we've tested, the best messages have a bunch of things in common. Okay? Number one, they're short. See, the thing is you don't know them yet. You don't have a relationship yet. So you haven't earned the right to send them a long message. Like, of the hundreds of messages we've tested, the shorter the message, the better the response.
Yeah. And number two, and just to piggyback off that applies in cold email and anything, right? Like if you don't know them, they're not going to read your long message. But okay, so number two, keep it natural. This is one of my least favorite things I see. Get rid of all the buzzwords, like we provide strategic solutions for, or we have an integrated comprehensive approach for. Just saying those words makes me nauseous, and they kind of reek of sales rhetoric, and more so like you didn't do your homework, right? And so right away when I get a message like that, you lost me. I'm just not even listening anymore.
So you got to keep it. Number one, you want to keep it short. Number two, you want to keep it natural. Number three, you got to be honest. And now I've received just today, I got 5 messages very similar to this one here. People telling me either they love my work, or that my bio is impressive, or this and that. And, here's this guy telling me that I love your smile. Like, come on now, really? And he's looking to generate leads, loves my work. For fun, he said he loves my work, and I went to my database to see if he even registered, if I have a name like this in my database of people who have signed up to follow me. The guy hasn't, right? I mean, it's clear. It's clear, just spam. And, it's completely disingenuous. And you and I can completely read through it, because it's easy to spot, by simply checking, the guy loves your work. Does he follow me? Is he on my email list? Have they read my book? If he loves my work so much, has he even invested in any one of our inexpensive services? How big of a fan can they actually be? And, so you want to make sure that you're very, very genuine. I mean, look, we live in a world. I mean, we've got people not trusting politicians, people not trusting news sources. People are inherently very skeptical. They don't trust anything that comes out of a marketer's or a salesperson's mouth. So, you got to be honest. You got to be genuine. You got to be authentic. Don't try to do any of these, any sort of tricks, right? Got to be honest. So again, keep it short, and you want to keep it natural. You got to be honest. And, here's another example. Here's another example here. This is one that landed in Zach's inbox. So I'll let you speak to this one a little, Zach.
Yeah, I just wanted to point this one out because it's really common nowadays. It's I won't out anybody, but it's virtue of a couple other programs out there, and this is what they're kind of promoting, and that's great. It probably worked at some point, but once everyone is zigging, you need to zag. And I put this for be honest, because I just don't think he really cares, to learn a little bit more about me, right? And I think he started with like, LinkedIn has been really great for networking. I don't think you really care about networking, and especially when I receive that message so often. So just be kind of honest and upfront. So next one, next slide. It's more important to be different than better. That one is really important because there's so much competition out there. Sometimes, it's better to be different than better. And so we use humor, Sometimes we're just to the point and direct, like one message where I'll tell people, yes, this is a thinly, veiled sales message. And other times we use video and include a link that will take you to a video that looks like the one here in this slide. It's a very personalized video that drives, massive conversions. And we use a free tool like, Vidyard in their Chrome extension to do this. So it's not necessarily like better, but it's different. It's what others are not doing.
I mean, look, you drive somebody to click a link and they see a video like this with your name, and you're speaking directly to them. You can see how that's going to have a little bit of a different impact, right, than a message like this. So, yeah, there you have it. And then number 5.
And number 5, most importantly, you're looking to start a conversation. Tell them immediately why you're connecting with them, how you can help them, and what they need to do next. That's it. And so what we found to be best is kind of a simple question like this. Are you currently taking on new clients? Are you doing this? Rather than saying, do you need more leads? That sounds like sales. How can you, position it a little bit differently to just start that conversation?
So understand the success in your LinkedIn system is directly proportional to the degree in which you have a great conversation. Everything else is important, but if you fail to compel people to take action in a very tasteful, in an authentic, in a genuine, in a non-salesy way, really, nothing else matters. This is why, we use, this type of LinkedIn strategy, and the one that we just shared with you right now. The strategy we just shared with you consistently outperforms any other lead generation strategy, whatnot, on LinkedIn that we have ever tested. And we've never seen or experienced anything quite as effective as this, following this type of formula in your messaging, which is number 1, keep your messages short. And when I say short, we're talking about no more than 1 to 4 sentences. If you can boil it down to 1 sentence, well, more power to you. But no more than 1 to 4 sentences. Number 2, keep it natural. Get rid of the buzzwords and talk to your prospect like a friend, right? Many times, this is like the one thing that you do not want to do is you don't want to write, dear Zach or dear, whatever. You don't want to do that because right away that's not natural. Many times we'll start a LinkedIn message with, hey, like, hey, Zach, hey, John, hey, Mary, whatever that is. It's a little bit more natural, or just go right for the first name. Number 3, be honest and genuine. People can tell when you're fake, and nothing else loses more trust than inauthenticity. Number 4, different is better. Don't hesitate to use humor or even attach a video. Look what everybody else is getting, and look what you're getting in your inbox, right? When everybody's zigging, that's when you want to zag. And then 5, start a conversation. Remember, your number 1 goal is to start a conversation. And many times, the easiest way to start a conversation is to ask a very simple question. So,
all right. So there you have it. That's it. That concludes today's 10 to Thrive webinar series. We went over a little bit on the 10 minutes. Not surprising, between you and I, we like to talk. Where you'll get actionable advice to grow your business in just 10 minutes. And if you like this and you want more, just let us know. There are topics we'd love to cover. Just simply reach out, and make sure you visit our website to register for the future events that we already have scheduled. And if you have any questions, I invite you to talk with us by either scheduling a strategy session, reaching out on our website, whatever it may be, and we're happy to work with you. Just go to predictableprofits.com and you'll see all the information there.
So, hey, thank you everybody for being here. We'll see you on the next webinar series. Thank you.